Good morning, good afternoon, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. Welcome to another episode on a new day and time of Let's Build HubSpot Adoption. So good to be back with you, Mr. Tony Dowling.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to this side of the pond. Good morning and good afternoon, I guess. The US is so big, you've got both. But good morning to those of you who are in that zone as well. It's brilliant to be back. It's been a couple of weeks, Chris. We've not managed to cross the streams, so it's great to be back on with you.
Yeah, we've been up to some stuff, I
Yes,
guess.
we have.
Profoundly has been launching really well. We're doing a lot of stuff there. I've been somehow making time for this value first thing that I just cannot get off my mind. You've got Converge happening, and I think you can. I think this is a layup for you, but what are you converging on, Tony?
Brilliant. Yes. So we decided this goes back and Let's Build has been a big part of this actually. But after 6 years as a HubSpot partner, you start to find your zone of genius, your the thing that you're interested in, the thing that you like working on, and so on. And for us, it was adoption. I think probably going back to my career before HubSpot, as an MD and a sales director, getting people to actually do things. I've always been fascinated by it. And what we've realized is 9 times out of 10, if there is an adoption problem with HubSpot, and 9 times out of 10, there seems to be an adoption problem with HubSpot, it's generally fixable in the same way, the same methodology. Now, the actual steps, the context changes, the finer detail is different in each case, but generally speaking, the whole thing needs to be driven by the management of the business, right? So we come up with this term management-led onboarding or management-led on adoption. And what we realize is it's got to be top down. Now, most HubSpot partners, most anybody working in HubSpot is bottom up. Most of us are talking ops. There's even a whole thing called RevOps. It always makes me laugh when I hear somebody talk about RevOps strategy. I'm not sure how you can have an ops strategy, but anyway. So bottom up is what we're doing training, we're building processes, we're putting automation in place, we're building documentation and so on and so on. It's all bottom up stuff. It's great. It's conversational change, or something that's called transactional change, right? But without the transformational piece, without the top down piece, the change doesn't happen. It doesn't stick. So converge, it means to bring both those things together at the same time. That's the whole reason for converge. We top down and bottom up at the same time. So just like any other HubSpot partner, we'll do your implementations and your integrations. But unlike other, maybe we'll help you create a strategy if you haven't got one. But more importantly, we'll help you build a management control system that's going to allow you to manage the adoption of HubSpot through the rest of your business as well. So that's what our whole process is about. And that's where the Converge term comes from.
I love it. Obviously, it's necessary. Obviously, because guess what, folks? It doesn't matter that HubSpot just dropped 280 updates, and now AI is everywhere, and everything is so easy, and data is just going to clean itself up, and people are just going to click a couple buttons, and all of a sudden the sales are going to happen. What you're telling me, Tony, is that one, that's not how it works, and two, management isn't just sitting around paying attention to whatever HubSpot can do.
No,
Am I hearing that right?
yeah, this is I'm a bit of a pedant anyway, but the most overused word in adoption, I think, is management buy-in. And unfortunately, managers themselves, leadership especially, thinks management buy-in is, yay, go HubSpot. You are all enabled, go forth and do HubSpot. You have permission to become HubSpot. That's not management buy-in. We've got management cheerleading. They're important pieces of the puzzle, but people do what their managers want them to do. If the manager wants you to use HubSpot, guess what? you're going to use HubSpot. If you have to use HubSpot to do your job, guess what? You're going to use HubSpot. If you're being measured through HubSpot goals or forecasts or activities or anything else, guess what? You're going to use HubSpot. So the shift, the vital shift, is for the business itself to start to use HubSpot to run its business. And that means, right, there's an intersection, if you like. There are levels of objectives. All businesses should have a strategic objective, probably two, maybe five, three. We like three. Three is the magic number. McKinsey likes three strategic objectives. And below that, you'll have probably business objectives. And below that, you'll have operational objectives, as it were. So a strategic objective might be we want to grow our business, right? The easiest way we can see to grow our business is we need to improve our conversion rates by 25%. If we can improve our conversion rates by 25%, we're going to hit our growth targets, right? So that's a strategic objective. Breaking that down into the actions, the initiatives that you need to undertake, and the actions, the leading and lagging indicators of success for that can live in HubSpot. In fact, the conversion rate itself will live in HubSpot. It'll allow you to measure it really, really easily. But HubSpot itself doesn't improve your conversion rate. HubSpot itself doesn't grow your reach. HubSpot itself doesn't put more bums on seats. HubSpot doesn't prospect for you. HubSpot doesn't close sales. HubSpot doesn't do, although arguably the AI maybe is going some way towards that. But as it sits, we do that. The humans do that. HubSpot enables us to do it. HubSpot enables us to record it. HubSpot enables us to be efficient. HubSpot enables us to be customer centric and all those amazing things. But it in itself doesn't yet do the job. So that's where this management bit crashes into the adoption bit. If managers kind of go, there you go, guys, there's HubSpot. Thank us later. It's amazing. Then people get lost in the features. They run around asking for training because they don't know what they're doing. Whereas if management say, okay, this is our lead conversion strategy. This is how we're going to measure it. This is how we're going to do it. This is how you're going to get trained on doing it. That whole piece, that's the bit that drives the adoption. Sorry, I rambled on a little bit there, Chris, but I think that's the vital bit and the bit that most of us forget. HubSpot doesn't do these things for you. You have to have the plan. HubSpot helps you achieve the plan.
Yes, no matter how much. And apologize for any background noise here. Got a leaf blower happening like right outside my window.
It's not so bad, don't
Um,
worry.
um, but yeah, like no matter how much. I mean, there was a key phrase that you mentioned there, like it won't do the prospecting for you. Although we're being told right now that it will, point
Yes,
blank, like the prospecting agent. And it's really hard not to get super excited because what it does offer is the ability to fill so many gaps that humans have notoriously been bad at, right? But it doesn't do it out of nowhere. At some
it's
point, the
yeah,
prospecting agent has to understand your business to be able to prospect for you. And that's like the strategy that you mentioned, right? As I did an episode with Clement, uh, Let's Build Communication on Tuesday. We unboxed the prospecting agent, and
oh
I've
yeah,
not
cool.
right, and I've not been. So I don't like the idea of having AI be our first touch, right, of the relationship, right? That's like the last place we should try to force this, right? Let's if you want to build a relationship on trust, maybe not have AI be the first thing that reaches out to me. Uh, but as I was building it out, um, there's so many questions where we go to businesses like, and that's the beautiful part of when you can understand what HubSpot can do for you. Like you can't set up this prospecting agent without a value prop, without a clear
Exactly,
understanding of your products and services, without target audiences. I had to answer all of these questions, right,
exactly,
to set it up,
exactly.
right?
And what I love about it, the prospecting agent particularly, and there are a number of other agents, the social media agent equally, um, what they're brilliant at, and what GPT, particularly ChatGPT, my personal preferred AI assistant. What I love it for is its frameworks, especially. If I want to build an MCS management control system for a customer, I can go, can you give me a typical MCS for a medical equipment company? Brilliant, right? Um, when it comes to the prospecting agent, it'll tell you, like you've just said, it'll tell you what it needs in order to put these prospecting sequences together. It'll tell you what it needs in order to identify the customers that you want to attract. But what it won't do is it doesn't fill in those blanks. It doesn't fill in that detail. And what's really interesting to me as an old ad man, in my oldest incarnation, going back to 1991, I've been an ad man. I've been an advertising guy, and it's the inspiration in business that I think is missing. You don't see so much emphasis on. Think back to the Mad Men TV show. When they used to have big brain waves, and here's the campaign, and we used to look to Saatchi and Saatchi in this country. And these amazing creative campaigns that I've done. That's the inspirational bit. As a business, how do I see my product market fit? How do I see where I can take that product market fit? Yeah, AI can help me. 100%, I'm sure it can, but it can't yet make the leaps that great marketers can make. It can't necessarily create. I can give it an idea, a concept for a communication opportunity. So that last week, I think I came up with a new idea for my own marketing. Right, the HubSpot tax. So you pay in the HubSpot tax if you buy a Harley. And I don't know how many of our listeners have Harleys. I would imagine a lot of them do. If you buy a Harley, right, you have to pay the Harley tax. You have to have at least a stage one on your Harley. You're probably going to put a new air filter on it because the engine is relatively kneecapped, right? You've got a 115cc engine or 112cc engine, and it's got no puff in it whatsoever, right? So you put a new air filter on it, and you put short shots. You put straight pipes on the back as well, right? So that helps the engine get more air in, which helps the engine develop more power and have a better sound, right? So you buy Harley, you've got to factor in the Harley tax. And if you've got any sense, you'll probably go to stage two, and you may even go to stage three, right? And suddenly the thing's a beast. It's an absolute animal, and it sounds like something out of hell. Amazing.
So
So it's exactly the same. Yes.
configuration and customization of your Harley.
Exactly, right? It's the
Yeah.
tax. You buy the basic bike, but you're going to pay the tax. And we don't talk about this in HubSpot, and HubSpot don't talk about it when they sell it to you. You might need enterprise. You might need it to do the things that you want to do, to do the things your business needs to do. You might need to build custom objects. If you need custom objects, you're going to have enterprise, right? You're going to have to pay the HubSpot tax. So you have to pay the equivalent of the upgrade of the configuration of so on and so on and so on. I put that idea into ChatGPT, and a load of messages come out. But the inspiration for the idea, the turn of phrase or whatever, and the same thing with the prospecting agent. We can sit there and we can go bland. This is ICP, B2B manufacturing companies, 50 to 200 people, turnover 5 million plus in UK and US. Da, 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 da. But it's when you get that insight, it's when you get that inspiration. That's where great BDR comes from. It's not somebody who can just send out sequences. It's somebody who can create a relationship in the first 10 seconds of the call. I used to ring people up and say, "This is your lucky day." That was my cold call. And if they laughed, I knew I'd won, right? I knew I was going to get the appointment.
Yeah.
And
Barrier down.
if they didn't laugh, I just hung up because they didn't know what it was anyway. "Now, this is your lucky day," and they'd be like, "Well, go on then." And I say, "You're talking to the most talented radio advertising salesperson in the market today." More laughs. But it's not. You can't write that stuff down. And even if you did, it doesn't come across like it
There's
does
no
when
there,
you're human. When you're talking to somebody.
there's no
So
best practice guide.
yeah, totally.
For
These things can show you what you need to do. They show you the steps. They can, but it's the human bit that fills in it. And the same thing with adoption. Actually, I can write down your adoption plan. I can train you and create your training and your documentation. I can place via Sidekick, Super Sidekick, which we use. I can place things into exactly the right place for you, but it'll be your leadership that drives you into HubSpot, that pulls you through, pulls the whole thing through the organization, a la the culture of the organization, the strategy of the organization, the vision for the organization. That all comes from leadership, you know. So that's for me, that AI. This is why AI is so cool. As a human, I find it so helpful. I don't have to write endless crap anymore. You know, I don't have to scratch. I don't have to go and research. I can just ask it questions. Okay. Have you played with Monday yet? ChatGPT's Monday. I'm sure there's an
I
equivalent on
have
Claude.
I have
There's a
not.
Grok. All right. So the other night, I literally spent. I was watching The Rookie. Do you guys remember? You remember The Rookie?
Yep.
And I'm a bit of a fan of the actor whose name escapes me at the minute. He was Mal in Firefly. Um, I'm on ChatGPT, obviously, double
Nathan
screening.
Fallon.
Nathan, that's him.
There we go.
Nathan Fillion. Nathan Fillion.
Fillion.
I just start talking about the Rookie. I was like, what's it? What do the people like? What do people in America think of the Rookie sort of thing? And I then spent the rest of the evening just talking to this Monday, this app, right? This LLM, and it's very sarcastic. I think it's a bit of a nod towards Grok. You know, it's that kind of. But honestly, you go from talking about the Rookie to asking it to pick my personality type, or a Myers-Briggs sort of personality type, and a disc profile, and it's but that's all come from me. That's all come from the inputs. That's all come from the prompts. It's all come from the way that you take the conversation. So I don't
Yeah.
see that, and in sales especially, sales is and always has been about relationships, and that's why we're uncomfortable with AI as our first touch. Because it doesn't create that relationship. It can't, especially not a sequence email. Not like ringing
Right.
somebody up and saying, "This is your lucky day." It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Um, no, that's a lot of what's showing up, in the value first stuff that I'm doing. Like
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
almost always like, is this thing creating value or is it creating trust? And if the action does not do either of those things, what the hell are you doing?
Yep.
Like, even if so, in what you just described, um, uh, the cold calling and the stuff, like when it does work, it's the worst way to start a relationship. Like clearly they are in so much need and they just have this intense pain and it's your lucky day that you hit them on this day, right? But now they have all the leverage and it's price point city and like all the things that, and like even if you start it there, it takes so much work to like bring it back. Um and that carries through. So even if you win the sale, that's one person that was just like, "Oh god, we finally need this right now. I got the budget. I'm just doing it." And then it's like, "All right, here organization. Here's HubSpot. Let's do it." And nobody else knew this was going on. And yeah, management doesn't get behind those initiatives, and then
Mhm.
it's on you
Mhm.
as the champion, right? So it's fun to think about how, like, as we develop these frameworks and we develop even tools like a data model, like I'm pretty sure I'm getting closer thanks to HubSpot finally releasing orders, like a
Mhm.
standardized data model that's going to help people with portals and it's going to help people with ERP integrations.
Yep.
And the moment I think that I need to kind of protect that as IP or anything like that, any build stuff, any like any framework stuff, it's like literally companies don't know how to change.
Mhm.
So unless you're there to say like this is how you're going to get to this data model, this is how you're going to execute, this is how you're going to converge, like you probably don't know how to bring your management team and your front line together. You've never done that before. right? It's probably been top down, right?
Yep.
And you're creating a space where the only change that actually happens is bottom up. Like maybe you get lucky and it works,
It
but
can work, but it's rare.
right,
You know, yeah, and if everybody's kind of equally motivated and aligned, it can work, but it's rare. But for those reasons, absolutely for those reasons. Let me ask you a question. Again, you've just triggered a thought, right? Um, I am I'll put it another way rather than put you on the spot, because you won't know where I'm going. I am a big fan of hourly pricing. Big fan, right?
let's have it. Let's have it out.
Because my attitude is if you are not getting what you need from your hourly pricing, it says more about you as a salesperson and negotiator than it does about anything else, right? And my proof of this argument is McKinsey, right? Or your local law firm, right? Or any kind of like elite professional service where we can't go above, we say $150, $250 an hour or whatever. Oh, woe is me, right? It's because you're not presenting enough value. That's why you don't get more for that money, right? And now AI, oh my God, that's gonna change everything because now AI is gonna take 5 minutes instead of 5 hours, and it's gonna ruin my. No, because even the people who talk about VAT pricing, value pricing, are saying the same thing. If you could get what you're worth from your hourly, that would be fine. It's just that you can't get it, right? So why do big firms buy McKinsey? Now, there's probably quite a lot of it is because nobody ever get fired. Nobody ever got fired for buying IBM. That whole thing, right? But their hourly rate, they're just obscene. I've got my local lawyer, the guy that works for me as a specialist, works for me occasionally. He's £900 an hour. 900, he's like, he's on the phone. We'll keep this to 15 minutes. And I'll be like, you're right, we'll keep it to 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm not spending it's and you pay it. Why'd you pay it? Why'd you pay it? Why'd you pay it? Because it's worth it, right? And this is the thing. If you're going to be a transactional, operational HubSpotter, and if you're going to build HubSpot portals and automations and so on, which, let's face it, AI is that close to doing anyway, then yeah, you're transactional. You're going to get driven to the floor. But if you provide a value, now where does this value come from? You talk a lot about value flow and things, Chris, right? But the ability to go into a company and solve the problem for them. But it's bigger than that. It's not even the problem, because the problem they think is the problem is probably not the problem. It rarely is. That's the genius work. That's the adoption work that we talk about, right? When we go in and we say, okay, we're going to fix your adoption gap, the client goes, oh man, I've got this adoption gap because all of our salespeople are lazy or something, right? I'm immediately going to think, okay, that's probably not the case. How do I, short of saying to this client, you're an idiot, how do I get the client to appreciate that it's not because the salesperson is lazy? Data. That's how I do it, right? Facts. So I go into my analysis. We do our SWOTs and our lean canvas and our business model and all the thing, whatever it is we want to do, right? And we gradually build this story. Our initial hypothesis, salespeople are lazy, is replaced by a new hypothesis, which is usually if management led the thing, salespeople would be using it, right? But now we've built that for that customer. So a household partner's not going to do that for you when what they do, as well as they do it, is build automations, is build dashboards, is build this and build that. There's no business acumen there. There's no experience. There's no 30 years of corporate experience, management experience. There's no consultancy experience in there, That's where I think, that's where we are going to go. That's the value. And by we, I mean profoundly. I mean, not me and you, I mean content creators, people who are able to do more than just, oh, can you automate this process for me? Because that's the business model for HubSpot partners. Can you help me fix this? Can you fix this? Can you
Yeah.
fix this? Can you fix this? Not interested. I'm not interested in that. It's boring. It's a race to the bottom, entirely transactional. I want to go into a business who says I can't adopt HubSpot because, and find out the real reason, and then and fix that reason. So no, I was teasing a bit on the old hourly thing, but it always makes me think of that, the McKinsey thing. If they're going to charge you $1,000 an hour or whatever it's going to be, and you're going to pay it, you're going to pay it. You don't go to McKinsey and say, "Oh, we need to drop that down by 50%," because they'll be like, "Get lost." But why does it work? One of the reasons it works is because they've cracked the inbound model, as have HubSpot. It works because people come to them, right? As soon as you
Right.
have to go to the person, you're on the back foot. You got that Dan's inbound book behind you. Now, if you're an inbound organization, if you've managed to generate interest, content, education, thought leadership, awareness, brand, if you manage to generate that stuff, people will come to you. I thought you were going to shout at me there.
No, I was pointing to the book Inbound
By the book.
Organization. Uh, I do
And,
want to
and and
shout
because
a little bit. Um,
because people come to you, that's the consistent demand that allows you to leverage your price. That was that was the point I was going to
right.
make.
Now, so then for me, does it make sense anymore or very soon? And this is where AI impact goes well beyond efficiency um, gains, which are very easy to measure right now when something used
Mm,
to take 60 minutes and now it takes 5 minutes. Um, uh, and like in some of this, I try to key in on stuff that like a recent discovery, like the stuff that I just get the most frustrated about with AI. Like, why does it keep having problems? Everything I tell it is so clear. One of
mm,
those things is dates and timelines. And
mm,
Bill Barlas was telling me about he's trying to set up like a specification, you know, project where he puts it all in and then spits out the number of hours. And it first time he's doing it, gave him 112 extra hours, right? Uh, and I won't keep it this far out, but
mm.
I believe there are things like that that we have created as humans that are 100% arbitrary,
Wait. Yeah.
like
Speak to it. Speak to it.
like the calendar,
Yeah.
like
Sorry.
time,
Yeah.
right? And so that's at that level. That tells me that maybe that doesn't survive, like in an age when AI is figuring this stuff out. Because for me, it's doing stuff like adding 112 unnecessary hours because it learned from the humans, like to under promise and over deliver and make sure you don't put yourself in a bad spot as the managed services company, like create safety for yourself. And everybody's in CYA mode, right? And it's literally like, sure, like maybe on paper, and this is a fact, like CFOs love like when they can break things down by hours,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
there's no better math to be able to do. But as soon as you start trying to assign value directly to those hours, right? I think in a lot of cases we built trust to a place where, okay, we know that we're going to pay this many hours, but it's not going to be time to the minute. Like value is going to go back and forth every month, right? And that's where the relationship is now not transactional at
Yeah.
that point. But when you start at an hourly rate, like it's literally starting at from a transactional place. And especially when it comes to adoption and the heart of the reason why it's like I could give you all the tools, just put them in your lap, ready made HubSpot, and it's still not going to be the value you need it to be because of the conversations, because of the change management. And what the hourly rates do, like the set number of hours, is when I'm sitting at a table and we find out that somebody who's going to be important for the adoption, for the new process that needs to happen, is unaware that HubSpot has been coming.
Mm,
Like even management at this point, like there's a ticking clock,
mm,
right? And now when we put them in the position of, do I have to pay more to involve this person in the way that they need to be involved? Do we have to push out a week because they're on holiday next
Yeah.
week, right? Trying to avoid that scenario, I think, is paramount to actually like delivering value, because then there's no, of course they're going to hold it off to bring this person in, because it literally won't work,
Mm.
like, unless you do. And instead we're like, all right, we got a deadline that we put on ourselves, like, out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and we've got this many hours, and HubSpot said we only got 90 days to get the onboarding done. So I guess we'll try to do it ourselves. Like, we'll onboard this person, we'll train this person with no prior
Mm.
HubSpot experience, and just trying to avoid those very transactional decisions that get made when they clearly aren't in the best interest
Mm.
of the company. Like, at the end of the day, or all the people involved, like, those are the things that get in the way of
Mm.
like true adoption, right? Because on the
It's
other
re-
side, it's no, like, when you remove that pressure, that
yeah.
anxiety, right? It just creates space for the moments of, oh, this is why we got HubSpot. Yes. Like, I'm in. And now, like, everything is available. Like, you could charge me a bunch of money at this point. Like, I already figured out we're going to make $10 million.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to quibble over $1,000 a month now. Right.
It's sort of it's the same as the freelance versus the staffer, isn't it? You know, if you're paid a salary, that salary is probably based as much as anything on the going market rate, right? On supply and demand for people of your level. And the better you are at the things that we just talked about, the more salary you're gonna leverage. At some point, the hourly ceases to make any sense at all. You know, you can break it down because nominally you're doing 40 hours a week or 60 hours a week or whatever you're going to do. You can do the sum, but it has no relation to the value that you're delivering. So I think this is what we, potentially where we have to go with this, right? I think if you're doing something for a HubSpot customer that could be done by AI eventually, you're in trouble. You know,
Mhm.
if you're doing something that literally the client doesn't see value beyond £150 or $250 per hour, you're going to be in trouble, because those kinds of production orientated pieces of work are going to, somebody else is going to be doing them, and they're probably going to be a robot.
Yep.
So you have to, as a free, we have to change that conversation. This is why we are becoming converged, because we're trying to change the conversation. Yeah, we can do that bit for you, but the interesting bit, the real valuable bit, is let's just call it the change management, as you've been calling it. The bigger change management piece, the strategy piece, the messaging, the vision, all that kind of thing. That's when you decouple. Then you decouple your value from the hourly rate. And
Yep.
that's when you can have the sensible conversation. Well, go on, you want 10K for this? And well, yeah, because that's what everybody else pays me for it.
Right.
If you don't want to pay 10K for it, that's fine, because there's another guy down the road who's going to pay 10K for it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have the fight. You don't have to cheapen cut your own throat and all those kinds of things. So it
Yeah.
is a really complicated idea,
Well,
um,
it's that.
and a fascinating one as well.
Yeah, it's that plus the, like, well, you said you wanted to grow by $10 million,
Yeah,
right? So that's why. So if we guaranteed almost, that's like the four conversations just came out from Blair Enns, and he says, like, if we could guarantee $10 million of growth, like, would you pay 1 million, right?
yeah.
And you start like, and it gets very hard to like wiggle out of that conversation, and
And
that's the
the
whole.
ultimate expression of this is a business model I would love to employ. Let's say we want to get 10 million. If you get 10 million, you'll give me 1 million. Deal. Let's do the work. Let's generate the 10 million, and I'll have my 1 million. Thank you very much. That would be such an awesome business model.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely incredible. And it's another reason why we don't do that, because we can't deliver that sort of change. I
Right.
bet that's a whole other conversation.
Yep. And it all comes back to adoption, whether it's HubSpot, whether it's new processes, whether it's
Absolutely.
getting
Yeah,
into a new market, all the things that businesses want to do, they always undercut this part. And um, that's why we're here to
yeah,
help you not do
absolutely.
that. So great to be back with you. Look forward to getting back to the series regularly. And
Absolutely.
until next time, if you got onboarding on the way, if you're seeing all these new updates, uh, think about adoption first. How is that going to happen in your business for you to get the value? Find those opportunities and let's grow. Have a great day, everybody.